when I wrote my book, I wanted to do more than just expose problems in faith communities and households. I wanted to do two things. The first is to show that there are problematic religious doctrines and scripture that can be used as tools by individuals depending on their mental health, how they were raised, and so forth, that can be used to harm children. The other thing I wanted to do is talk about, well, just when are children at risk? It's ridiculous to just sort of point a finger at a particular religion or even a particular religious community. What I found when I looked at so many criminal cases, read many, many studies, and interviewed dozens of people who were survivors and perpetrators, that there was a running theme throughout all of these cases, and that is that if a child is living in a religious, authoritarian culture, there will be problems. And this is not so much how the children are directly affected, it more has to do with how those cultures affect parents and their ability to decide for themselves how they're going to raise kids. And I realized that there were three perfect storm characteristics that make up a religious authoritarian culture. The first is that the culture has a strict social hierarchy. So you'll often find in these problematic communities that faith leaders are very powerful compared to everybody else. Men are almost always much more powerful than women, and children have basically no rights whatsoever. Secondly, the culture is fearful and made to be so. I mean, this can go, through generation after generation. Those fears can be based on theological beliefs or cultural norms, and I can give various examples of that. You might sort of pick up on that throughout this talk. The culture is socially separatist. Being isolated from mainstream society can be extremely detrimental to children and others in a community who are in need of social services. This isolation can cause problems in many, many different ways. And probably the most problematic one is that people on the outside just don't hear about abuse problems. It just doesn't infiltrate beyond the group.